Lantern Road Leopard 4th grade, it is time to tessellate. Tessellations are repeating patterns created by an artist that are precisely cut so that they fit together. As you trace one, the next one locks into the one you've already traced. We are going to create tessellated castles. As we know, Felix has traveled through Germany, through the Carpathian Mountains to Dracula's castle in Transylvania, which is part of Romania. Europe, which is the continent one would find Germany and Romania, has many, many very old castles. There are just a few under this video to give you some ideas about details and especially roof line, which is how the roof looks, and the towers that you see with a roof like castle block, towers that are pointed, towers that also have castle block. And I want you to have a few examples in mind because the first thing we need is a roof line for our tessellation square. Once we're done tessellating, we are going to use Sharpie and watercolor. So if you are an artist working at home instead of the art room, because this video is for both face-to-face and virtual learners, make sure that you hear the mentioned alternatives if you don't have permanent marker, if you don't have watercolor, so that we can all still do this project. So I'm going to turn my new camera holder so that the view gives you an overhead view of my drawing and painting. And I'm going to adjust this so that you will see the best view. Right now you have a great view of my paint, but I use them last. So I'm going to slide them up and I'm going to give you a good view of my tessellation square. In my art room, you're going to get a piece of cardstock or tag board. Make sure if you're at home, you use lightweight tag board. Cardstock is great. Former note cards from school, anything like an old file folder, anything lightweight like that. Don't use an Amazon box or anything that's heavier cardboard. It's simply too hard to cut, and we are going to be doing some difficult cutting. So on your square, you're going to have some good ideas in mind from Braun Castle, which is the real name of Dracula's castle, Neuschwanstein, which is the inspiration for Cinderella's castle at Walt Disney World and Walt Disneyland. Or there's a third castle that's not as well known in Germany, for which I've included a picture because it has an interesting tower. You're going to take what you like from those and you're going to draw a roof line for your castle in the middle of your 3-inch by 3-inch square. In my room, I have a great amount of tag board, so if we mess up, we've got plenty with which to start over. If you're at home, using note cards gives you a lot of second chances because note cards are easy to find and they are not super expensive. So my 2 towers are on the ends and I have a couple castle block in between my towers. You need to cut exactly on this line. If you find this roof line too difficult to cut, you need to erase it and try one that's a bit easier. Castle block is difficult to cut around. Here's one I've already done. Here's one with no castle block. You know what kind of cutter you are, and if you don't think you can stay on your line, then choose something with a little less difficulty. The reason we must stay on our line when we cut is because there are no scraps with this. We use both pieces. So what you cut away does not get thrown away. What we're making with this small square is our pattern for the entire project. So cutting slowly and well is essential. Many people struggle with cutting. So if you struggle, you're not the only one. We've all become very good at tapping and swiping on devices, and because of that, we've all practiced cutting less. Once you've cut, you're gonna put this back together. You're going to have some tape ready because creating our pattern means taking the top and sliding it to the bottom and taping it there. I'm gonna replay that for you. Once you've put it back together, it'll fit just like two puzzle pieces. You take the top and slide it to the bottom. It should match exactly. And we are going to tape it there. No overlapping, no trimming. If you need an extra pair of hands and you're at home, ask mom, dad, brother, sister, puppy dog, cat, parakeet. They'll probably hold it in place for you. I have some tape over the edge because I tape the front and back, guys. I do not want this to come apart, and I do not want this to be wiggly. I want it firmly in place, and I want it taped well. With my pattern, I'm gonna begin tracing on my tag board. So, I'm gonna switch to the pattern I actually used on this sample, and I wanna show you how tracing your pattern, I'm sorry, I'm dropping mine. Because we started with a square, tracing my pattern all the way around. That starting with a square is vital because when we move to the top to the bottom, this is how we lock our pattern into its next spot. When you are starting, you want to start in the upper corner. Either side is fine. And you want your tallest point to touch the top. You want your side to become the side of the paper. That's how you will line these up to create rows and rows of locked castles. I've gone back and started with my Sharpie and added details. You want to add details that are easy to repeat so that our castles look repeated over and over and over. That's the magic of tessellation. At one point, an artist would have to figure out the math to create a tessellation. Artists that have come before us have done such a good job of doing the math that we now know how to create a tessellated pattern from a square. So someone has done the math for you. You have to create the repetition in details. I added some simple semicircle or half circle windows, a big stretched out half circle drawbridge, and some windows in these towers. I never make windows low because castles did not have windows down low. They did not want people invading and coming in. So I always put mine up high. And a bit of this drawbridge would show. Looks like I missed some of my drawbridge up here. I need to go back and take care of that. All of these details you need to repeat till your artwork is covered with castles with the same detail. And I know you probably feel like your eyes are crisscrossing. Then you're gonna choose a Sharpie and you are gonna go over every pencil line. After you've done that, you're gonna find some that are hanging around. You're gonna wanna clean those off with an eraser. And after doing so, you should have a pretty clean artwork ready for paint. I chose to paint my biggest example with just gray, which is light black. You can choose to paint with whatever watercolor you wish. Here is my finished one that I used purple Sharpie and gray paint. You may change colors of paint on every castle if you like. What you may not do is use complementary colors that blend poorly. So if you have complementary colors that blend poorly, you will find that they are red and green, blue and orange, purple and yellow. If you let those blend, they're going to make a very awful brown. It will not be a yummy, yummy chocolate brown. It will be a terrible brown. But if you used blue, green, and purple, the cool colors, if they blend accidentally or on purpose, they are fine. If you use warm colors, red, orange, and yellow, there won't be a bad blend there at all, whether it's on purpose or accidentally. As you can tell, this project will not happen in one art visit. So those of you working at home, it's not going to happen in one sitting either. This is a 3-visit to the art room or 4-visit to the art room project. So if you're working from home, this is going to take you a couple rotations, probably 3 or 4. Some of you work slowly like Mrs. Billman. It may take you even more. So if you need alternative ideas, let's say you do not have a Sharpie or Marks-A-Lot, please make sure that you then switch to crayon instead of using marker. The reason I don't want you using Crayolas or Rose Art or anything water-based is when you paint, they will smear terribly. So if you don't have permanent marker, which is Sharpie, Marks-A-Lot, there's a couple other brands, do not substitute with Crayola or Rose Art or anything water-based. Make sure you substitute with crayon. We know crayon is not going to smear because of water. If you don't have watercolors, you can color your castles with whatever you have at home. If you have paint and it's not watercolor, you just want to make sure that you thin it greatly. That means a bit of your paint and a whole lot of water. Good luck to you, leopards. This is a difficult looking project that actually is fairly easy once you get going. Plus, this is a video. You can pause and rewatch as many times as needed.